I'm going to show a very short clip they're talking about the Bolton book and Trump's response. But when you listen to the short clip, keep in mind that the same media that is now exposing the book and talking about the book and everything in the book, why didn't the media do any investigative reporting? Why is it up to them to report on what somebody says in a book rather than investigate themselves? And, one has to start to wonder, all the media news is owned by like 6 different companies in the whole world, or like big companies with smaller and smaller, and they're all like connected. And you have to wonder if there's some kind of a financial incentive to not report, not do investigative reporting, right? So you save all that money on the beginning. You encourage people to write books. So they write their view of what happened. You call that news. You sell a bunch of books. So you saved money by not having your reporters do the investigation. The book comes out, sell books, and then you report about the book, right? It's like backwards. It's like an upside down pyramid, right? Instead of, all this research that leads to one final story, you flip the pyramid and you let the book be at the bottom, and then everything flows up from the book. But the book is one person's perspective. So anyway, let me play this clip real quick.
Reporters, the president would not answer questions about his former aide's scathing critique.
Mr. President, the White House had this book for 6 months.
He did, however, angrily unload on Twitter, labeling Bolton a disgruntled, boring fool, a wacko, and a sick puppy.
So basically, this is the news. They're talking about a book, and this is what they'll do for days now. So my question is, the news media won't research and do stories. And they're also, the question you have to ask is, what about Nancy Pelosi? Why isn't she part of the discussion anymore? Nancy Pelosi is the cause of all of this. I want you to imagine what would have happened if Nancy Pelosi had said, okay, the wall and bringing jobs back to America are on the table. What are we going to get in return with DACA, with minimum wage, with better funding for Medicare? I mean, if we do these things and we save money, then we should be able to reallocate some of that money to more programs. What do you think Trump would have said? He would have said, sure, that's a great idea. But Pelosi decided to go against the will of the winning president and deny him on the 2 things his voters wanted. Don't ever forget that. Now, I'm saying this as a former lifelong Democrat who voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and donated to her campaign back then also. It's just so hard to talk about because it's so clear to me. After the way my mom was treated in an ER that led to her death, the disrespect we're showing seniors is so horrible. So what's happening now is Trump's being blamed for all these things that Nancy Pelosi is causing and has caused. Now you've got minority rights issues. You've got homelessness issues. You've got lack of jobs issues. Meanwhile, let's let more and more undocumented into the country. And then if people complain, say, oh, you're being selfish because your own parents or grandparents were immigrants. Yeah, they were. And you know what? They didn't get instant entitlements when they came to this country. None. No instant entitlements. So nowadays, you have the Democrat Party demanding as many undocumented and newly arriving as possible, all who are eligible for some kind of instant entitlement from the day they arrive. Okay? Well, who's paying for that? Not only is the blue collar, the workforce, the small business people paying for all this, but then their own parents are being denied end-of-life quality care. Because the money has to come from somewhere if you're going to fund people from day one. Okay? And yes, there can be a discussion about the military and cutting expenses. Absolutely. But again, Pelosi took off the table the two reasons that Trump got elected. Don't ever forget that. I mean, the more they try to paint Trump as being the bad guy, the less I trust the media. Because what they're really doing is covering up their own sins of omission, their own obstruction of what they didn't do. Nobody talks about seniors. Nobody will protect seniors in California especially. The only people that will protect seniors, allegedly, is the medical board. And the medical board has a big old stamp that says, within the standard of care. So imagine, you know what you saw was illegal. You know your parent or your grandparent's life was snuffed out too soon. And everyone diverts you to the medical board, and then they give a big old stamp within the standard of care. I mean, what a joke, what a tragic joke. And this is never covered or talked about by the media. They do not. Now, part of it is HIPAA, but that's a law that's supposed to protect privacy. But when you protect privacy, you also create an environment where very bad things happen. We're seeing all kinds of examples of that right now. But you can't help everybody and let more and more people into the country and welcome jobs leaving. So one of these days I'll have to do an edited piece explaining the different, the key players, who have ruined America. The legal system and the Fed are actually the two biggest entities that have ruined America. So there's all this talk of racism. There's a layer above it. It's the Fed and how they put everyone in debt and don't allow people to use their own equity to avoid massive interest rate charges or not even be able to get a loan when they're unemployed. That's a huge issue. And we have the law firms that don't care about small cases, which is the core reason why racism exists. If you're poor and somebody's done something wrong to you, you have to be able to go to court and fight it. But if you can't get a lawyer, because all they care about are accident cases or the most egregious case they can get, they don't have any kind of low bono, any kind of system in place. Not pro bono. See, that's the other scam. Oh, pro bono. Pro bono is virtually impossible to get, okay? But what about low bono? What if you actually had a law firm within a law firm with young grads, and maybe they make 50 grand a year, but they can live on that, and they're grateful because they can pay down their debts, their student debts and everything, and they learn how to fight on the $5,000, $10,000 cases, the ones that a lawyer would never take. If nobody's taking the small cases where people are being unfairly treated, well, of course you're going to have racism, because when the poor can't be represented in court, then people learn what they can get away with, and they do get away with it. And this is in all areas, okay? But this is on the law firms. They could have low bono divisions, and they don't. So the Fed could allow the $20 trillion that is available in home equity right now. They could allow very low interest rates to people who are unemployed, as long as those people only take out a certain amount every month and it's capped after a couple of years. To give people a breathing room right now. The government all along could have been providing some kind of rental credits where 10% of whatever you spend on rent goes into a special fund that you can use for a down payment someday if you want to buy a home or a condo. So if you've been renting for 10 years and you add up all the money and you go, my God, I paid $100,000, I paid $150,000 in rent in the last 10 years. Why can't you get a $15,000 credit toward a down payment on a condo or something? These are things that should have been done all along and weren't done because all the rich people, all the people who make six figures and higher, they don't care about this stuff. They care about keeping the system as it is. And the whole racism thing is a way to pit everyone who's making under $100,000 against each other. Because instead of looking at it as racism, you should look at it as who's making above 6 figures and who's making below 6 figures. And if you look at it that way, you'll see that victimization is going on in a much different way. So try to look at the bigger picture. This stuff is so micro-focused nowadays to confuse you. And look at the big picture. We have to stop undocumented. Now, I'm not saying forever, by the way, but for now, for a couple of years, we have to know we can stop it when we want to, that we can actually stop it. Let the country heal and make sure we can fund everybody who's already here. And you know what might happen? Something surprising might happen. If we help the people who are already here, rather than the Democrats worrying about people who aren't here, the people who are already here might have the funds to maybe build an extra room onto their home. And it could be like an incubation for people who are starting out. And people could help people. So there are a lot of things that are being done. I don't know if I could put it all in 10 minutes or not, or like in a script form or not, but I see it all clearly in my head. I've spent 30 years, anyway, I don't want to get into me right now. So just remember, this is Pelosi's fault for not working with Trump in the beginning and just being Trump's pal and saying, okay, we're going to give you this, what are you going to give us? And all this generosity that Bolton is accusing Trump of giving to other world leaders, it could have gone to Pelosi and the Democrats if they'd met him halfway. Remember that. And that's why I'm going to vote. I voted for Clinton in 2016. I'm pretty sure I'm going to vote for Trump in 2020. I'm just outraged at the arrogance going on right now. At all these groups trying to blame one person. Trump's being blamed for everything. He's being blamed for the coronavirus. I mean, it's just so nutty and insane. But that's a story for another day.